And here we go.
You are making the world a better place by listening to the Joy of Living podcast. This is your guide to achieving a more purposeful, powerful, and positive life. Join Barry Shore in unlocking the best version of you and becoming happier, healthier, and wealthier. And now, here's your ambassador of joy, Barry Shore.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Remember, you're good-looking, because you're always looking for and finding the good, and we found good in abundance because you have tuned in consciously and conscientiously to the Joy of Living with your humble host, Barry Shore, and one of the most remarkable beings that you'll ever have the pleasure of listening to, because he is transformational. But that's why you tune in, because you know in this show we work with the three fundamentals of life, and the three fundamentals are: number one, life. Your life has purpose. And when you live a purpose-driven life, number two happens. Now, in this case, a good number two, you go mad. Now, MAD is a wonderful acronym that stands for make a difference. You lead a purpose-driven life, you make a difference in the world. And the third fundamental is to unlock the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms. Simple example, right now, this wonderful show is being carried around the world through the internet. And there are 348,613 people at the moment that are joining you in listening and being transformed by the Joy of Living podcast. But if you ask anybody, what does www stand for? Invariably, they'll tell you it has to do with the internet. And factually speaking, they're correct. But in our world, the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, www stands for what a wonderful world. And what is a word, right? WHATA. What a wonderful world. Whenever you hear the opening bars of that song that Louis Armstrong Satchmo went viral with, what a wonderful world, what do you do right away? You can't help it. You smile. Now, smile is one of the most important words you could ever utilize, internalize, and leverage in your life, because smile stands for seeing miracles in life every day. Seeing miracles in life every day. Now, I got to tell you, the whole point of this is that when you use these three fundamentals, life has purpose, go mad, and unlock the power and secrets of everyday words and terms, you will be healthier, happier, and wealthier. Who doesn't want that? So when I'm now speaking to people in person, recently I did a show with 1,176 people, no mask, lots of hugging, upbeat energy. It was great. And I mentioned about seeing miracles in life every day. So some people raise their hand and say, hey, Barry Shore, I've been up for hours already. Have you seen any miracles? And I asked them, are you here? Can you hear? Can you stand still? I can't do that. Can you walk? I can barely do that. Do you have water to drink? You have food to eat? Do you have a place to sleep? You have family, your friends? Every single one of those is a miracle. And what's the proof? Simple as proof. 1 million people didn't get out of bed this morning. You know why? They died. By definition, if you're watching or you're listening, you didn't. Therefore, you have an obligation to live life to the full exuberance. So here's a quick story. Imagine the following: standing up in the morning, hale and hearty, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound, and that evening be in the hospital totally, completely paralyzed. That's me. Not an automobile accident, not a spinal injury, a rare disease, which I never heard of the day before, took over my body and rendered me a quadriplegic, which means nothing on my body moved from my neck down, completely paralyzed. All I could do is communicate by blinking my eyes. 144 days in the hospital, paralyzed. 2 years in a hospital bed in my own home, paralyzed. I couldn't turn over. I was 4 years in a wheelchair. I had braces on both my legs, my hips to my ankles. That was progress. Thank God today I'm able to be vertical and ambulatory with the help of a 7-foot walking wand, but I still can't walk up a stair by myself. I can't walk up a curb by myself. And I have help 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. But you hear my voice. Positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant. It's all because of this one word. Smile, seeing miracles in life every day. I got to tell you a quick story. My 8-year-old comes over to me a few weeks ago and she says, Uncle Barry, can we spell smile S-M-I-E-L? I thought about it. Smile sounds the same. Why not? I asked her, how come? She says, because then it would stand for seeing miracles in everyday life. Out of the mouth of an 8-year-old. But what was she doing? She was creating the kind of world she wants to live in. Now, CREATE is a remarkably powerful acronym that stands for causing rethinking, enabling all to excel. We're going to talk a lot about rethinking with our amazing guest, Jim Bunch, in just a few minutes, because that's really the whole point of life, is that shift in perspective. Now, shift, you got to be very careful. Don't drop that F or the other stuff happens. You want to shift your perspective. So here are the 6 most important words you got to internalize, utilize, and leverage in your life to help you in your thinking. These 6 words are: choice, not chance, determines your destiny. Choice, not chance, determines your destiny. Now, I got to tell you in advance and warn you that your humble host, Barry Shore, does use a lot of 4-letter words. I'm going to use them throughout the show. I even use the 4-letter FU word, and I do it because of the shock value, and it's fun. Now, of course, the 4-letter words that we use, because we live in the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, are love, life, hope, grow, free, gift, pray, play, swim. And the 4-letter FU word is fun. Fun, yes. F-U, capital N, capital N. Now, I know some people saying right away, hey, Barry Shore, fun's only spelled with 3 letters. Not in our world. The world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant. Fun is spelled F-U, capital N, capital N. So after the show, when you see your family and your friends there, and you want to say something interesting, point your finger and have a twinkle in your eye and a smile on your face and say, F you, everybody. But remember to add right away, capital N, capital N. So where'd you get that? So I listened to Barry Shore on the Joy of Living podcast, and he wants to teach the world to F you, capital N, capital N. So before we bring on amazing Jim Bunch, I'm going to urge everybody, as you know, we have anywhere between 325, 330,000 people every week listening. And right now we're up to about 358,000 because you're telling your friends and family about it. And we appreciate it. This is so humbling. It's wonderful that you really use and enjoy in this transformational process. So I'm going to urge everybody, use the 2 most powerful words in the English language 3 times a day, every single day from now and the rest of your life, because it's going to help you, your family, your friends, and all living beings. And these 2 words are thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank stands for to harmonize and network kindness. To harmonize and network kindness. The Dalai Kind is thank stands for to harmonize and network kindness. The Dalai Lama has been quoted as saying, I read in his writings, be kind whenever possible. And he says it's always possible. So imagine you walk in your coffee shop, you order a fancy latte, you sit down, somebody brings it to you, say thank you. You walk in the coffee shop, you order a fancy latte, a couple of minutes go by, nobody brings it to you. You go to the counter and say, I'm sorry, we forgot, we're busy, we'll bring it to you. Sit down, a couple of minutes go by, you still say thank you. You're walking out of the coffee shop, it's raining out. And somebody holds the door open for you, say thank you. You're walking out of the coffee shop, it's raining, and somebody slams the door on you. You say, thank you. You're in traffic, you're late for an appointment, somebody cuts you off. You say, thank you. Get up in the middle of the night and you stub your toe and it hurts. You say, that's right, thank you. To harmonize and network kindness. Kind is an amazing word that stands for keep inspiring noble deeds. There's no one that I think of at the moment that inspires noble deeds more than the amazing, wonderful Jim Bunch. Jim, please say hello to 368,722 people around the world.
Hello, dear friends. Pleasure to connect with each of you.
F you. When was the last time somebody said F you to you and you smiled, Jim?
Well, it's been a minute.
Okay, so we're just going to jump in. By the way, if I start telling everybody about Jim's background and how amazing he is, you're going to hear it from the way he speaks and the things he's going to share with you. It would take too much of the show. So I'm just going to tell everybody, just go to the website, barryshore.com, and everything you want to know about Jim Bunch and what he does and how he does it and how he transforms everybody he touches. Just go to the website, www.barryshore.com. If you need a www, you know what that stands for, What a Wonderful World, .barryshore.com. It's all there. So you don't have to write anything down. Just lean in and let everything flow around you, through you, and in you. And then you will be transformed, because Mr. Bunch is a bunch of goodness. He's a bog, baby, a bunch of goodness. We're going to jump right in and talk about something that I know you enjoy because it helped you a lot. We're going to talk about celestial prophecy. Let's just start with that and take us to the launch pad, and then we'll just go.
Well, Celestine Prophecy was one of those books that had a pivotal shift in my consciousness. And right?
Shift. See, remember that F, shift in his consciousness.
Yeah, it was young. I was in my early 20s. I was actually on the road with Tony Robbins at the time, and we were the people that were filling up their events. And we were in Vancouver, British Columbia. I met a spiritual gal. Now, at the time, I didn't really know what spirituality was, but I met her at this meditation retreat, if you will. And she came up to me and said, "I've got a message for you." And I said, "Okay, cool." So being in my early 20s, not knowing what a message was or what this gal who's dressed in purple garb was all about, and having my own judgments around it. Long story short, I was open to it. And part of what came out of that relationship was an introduction to the book by James Redfield, Celestine Prophecy, which led me towards this pathway of understanding energy. And that opened all kinds of growth opportunities for me. And I have to say, it's one of those pivotal shifts or points where my consciousness went, woof, there's something else here greater than what I already know. And so I really enjoyed that book. I enjoyed that pathway. And for the last 30 years, I have incorporated consciousness and spirituality into the companies we build, into my relationships, into every part of my life.
So this is fascinating. Let's just unpack a little bit about this. First of all, we love the story. I have a message for you. But the genius of it was you accepted it. You had no idea what it was. And now you're in the world of energy. So let's just break down energy just for a moment, because I happen to be a very big fan. I'm a big fan of Jim Bunch, and therefore I'm a big fan of energy. Energy is built around the word erg, E-R-G, which in itself is a fascinating idea, E-R-G. So when you put the N, E-N in front of it, interesting enough, E-N in Greek means interior, inside. So energy is an inner process that enables you, Jim Bunch, to be what you are, which is a cog. You're a channel of goodness, a child of God. So let's talk about how that leads you to something that a lot of people know about, but I want you to articulate, because you're so good at this, the 4 freedoms. Because with these 4 freedoms, what you do is you become free.
Yeah,
word.
It is, and it's really interesting. I think most people start to realize that we were born free, and then based on our beliefs or based on our environments or our rules or whatever it is that we've set up, we slowly start to donate that freedom to others. We let go of the reality that we own our own decision making or choice, like you talked about. So for me, I started looking at thousands and thousands of people's lives and my own life, right? And I said, if freedom is one of the things that's supposedly my birthright, then how did I give that away? And what areas did I give it away in? And I found out that there's really, for me, and I challenge people to take a look at what fits for you and throw the rest out, right? But for me, I found out there's time freedom, the ability to do what I want, when I want, where I want, with who I want. And so that was the first set of choices is, am I allocating my most valuable asset in the 3rd dimension, called the physical realm, where I want to? So that's number 1, time freedom. The other was location freedom. And fortunately, with these devices or a computer and the internet, we can be anywhere in the world and do most of what we do, whether it's building game-changing companies or booking travel, you name it, we can do it from just about anywhere. At least 5 billion of the 8 billion of us can. So location freedom being the second. And again, that's a choice, right? The 3rd freedom was financial freedom. And financial freedom just means that your passive income exceeds your monthly expense. Doesn't matter if it comes from real estate or business or a portfolio or overrides from a company, whatever it is, your income and your expense is generated without your time. And that was a concept that was unique for me. But once I understood that, I'm like, wow, this is an easy way to win that game. The fourth one, and this was the one that was most elusive for me, and it's the constant journey. And it's also for me the most valuable, and that's the inner freedom. And when we talk about inner freedom, it's complex and yet simple at the same time. So when I look at most people's lives, they've set up a set of belief systems and an emotional framework that traps them in their past. They keep repeating the same thoughts and the same feelings or the same stories over and over again. And as we became more conscious, as we became more present, we started to realize those are just stories. And as you and many other people I'm sure talk about, is we can shift the meaning of those stories. We can change a negative experience like stubbing your toe that you talked about into a gift. Wow, thank you for letting me slow down long enough to recognize all the abundance I have because I kicked my foot on a bed that somebody else took the time and energy to develop. Somebody else created the mattress and the sheets that I'm fortunate enough to be kept warm at night. Somebody else created the carpet that I'm going to walk on, to the tile, to the restroom that I'm going to sit on in the convenience of my home, be able to relieve my biofunctions. Somebody else created the toothbrush and the toothpaste and the mirror, all of that. And I exchanged energy for people who exchanged energy. So you're right in that inner concept and conversation and the stories really dictate not only what we experience in the past, the present, and in the future. And so that inner freedom, the mental, emotional, and spiritual union, that for me became the real journey. And it's been a journey that has happened through personal development, through building companies, through working with shaman, through being in relationship for 20 years with my beautiful wife and my son and my friends. And, so many of the people that have brought the gift of awareness to me because they're a reflection of my reality. And that's been a real journey. And for me, those four freedoms, it's a constant evolution. It's a constant gift. And it's something that I hope everybody, when they listen to this, go, wow, I can actually create that almost immediately by choosing it.
So now you're beginning to understand why I am so happy that Jim Bunch is with us today. There are few people on the planet that are as articulate, capable, and loving as Jim Bunch. And you just heard it. I want to unpack a few things because you mentioned a couple of four-letter words. Again, see, we love four-letter words, right? Because we live in the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant world. Four-letter words, gift. Now, I want to go back to, first of all, to a three-letter word because you mentioned it. It's the essence of the word joy, because people think of joy and say, oh, Barry Shore, he's all like this and that. Well, joy is a great acronym, Jim. You're going to love this. Journey of you. That's what it is, because you talked about journey, right? And by the way, the word journey, first two letters in the last letter spell the word joy. And then the in-between is U-R-N-E. You are never ending. That's joy. It's a journey of you. Isn't that beautiful? That's what I give for you. But you mentioned it. The other one talked about it. Let's talk about this word gift that you've used many times. And it's truly wondrous in the sense that when you do recognize that everything around you and with you is for you and that you want to share that, so that you mentioned the fact that you can walk on tiles or wood or carpet, and it's all been done for you. That's a gift. So GIFT is a great acronym that stands for Godly Insight Facilitating Transformation. Because you said, and what? See my hands these days? I can't snap my fingers. So I'm going to ask you a favor. Snap your fingers for the audience, please. Right. I can't do that anymore because I was paralyzed. I'm not anymore, but I can't snap my fingers. What Jim just demonstrated with the snap of the fingers, and you'll correct me if I'm off on this, Jim. That's exactly what happens when you get the message, when you shift. We're not talking about, well, I got to do 16,000 things. All I got to be, no, it's a shift. It's here. It's a mindset shifting perspective. And once you do that, and you begin to work like wonderful Jim taught us about time, location, money, the journey, then these things that everybody wants happiness, health, wealth, love. They're there. They appear. Am I correct on that, Jim?
100%. It is already present. We have to actually ignore the truth that it's present in order for us to feel lack, to feel disconnected, for us to feel pain and suffering. Because if we're honest and we're awake, we recognize that all the abundance is on this planet already. I mean, that's one of the experiences I believe we came here to realize, because think about this for a moment. There's 9 planets that you could have taken form on, right? But your soul came down here. And the moment mom and dad started sharing DNA, an electrical activity and a biochemical process started, and you began to pull carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen from your mom's body as a resource, her environment. And you started taking 2 cells to 4 cells to 8 cells to 16 to 32 and so on. And then you formed your tissues, you formed your organ systems, your bones, and you created your environment out of nothing inside of your mom pulling all those resources. So everything that we are, we assembled, we aligned, and we brought together. And then we separated, at least our appearance was separated from our mom. And we took that first breath, right? In spiritus, that breath within that then gave us our own awakening, our own consciousness. Now we've got this body environment that starts to grow and evolve, and it changes and morphs over time. And eventually, when we're done with this matter, we're going to return our bits to the universe because we no longer need them. Right. But that YOU that you talked about, and this is the piece that I hope most people get. And I wish we had a graphic for this, but the 9 environments of you is something that one of my mentors, Thomas Leonard, shared with me. And I don't know if you know Thomas. He was the founder of modern day coaching. He created Coachville and CTI, Coach U. Do you know of Thomas?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So Thomas was coaching 40,000 coaches years ago, and I was his one private client. We had just taken, John Ashraf and I had been a part of a company we took public called bamboo.com. And after working with Tony Robbins, and then, John and I built Life Success Institute with Bob Proctor. And then I felt like there was something missing, but I ran into Thomas Leonard. And I asked Thomas, I said, we got a little feedback. Are you getting feedback on your side?
Now it's better, right?
Perfect. So I asked Thomas, I said, why is it so many people want to change? They read the books, they read the tape. I've still got the feedback. So I'm going to go mobile for a second, grab my AirPods, and we'll rock and roll here. But I said, Thomas, why is it so many people want to change their life? They want to transform. They honestly want to reach new goals. But what ends up happening is they get stuck in their own trap. They get in their own way. And how's that? Is that better?
That's better. But I think I want you to go back only for a moment, go back to the window, because I want to give people the view of the ocean. Come on. I mean, I want everybody to say, wait a minute, this guy, Jim Bunch, actually walks his talk. Look where he
This is back to the power of environments. And this is our home here in San Diego, California. My favorite surf spot right here, Pipes. And then my favorite meditation spot is Swami's right down the road here. And yeah, it's a powerful environment. I'm a surfer and I love nature.
Stop it. Wait a minute. Are you really a surfer?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Okay, we'll talk about surfing in a bit, because surfing is one of the greatest analogies for life, right?
It's been
okay. I'm going to ask you a quick question. You talked about Thomas Leonard, who's a great, amazing man. But since we're talking about Tom type of people, do you know Sean Thompson?
Sean Thompson. The name's familiar, but
one of the greatest surfers ever. He's only a bit older than you, but he was the man for years. And he just wrote a book about surfing and life. So I need to connect you two, but I'm just saying it. So by the way, surf is another 4-letter word.
Yeah.
Jim Bunch uses 4-letter words all the time. We found his secret. He uses 4-letter word. He even used the 4-letter FU word.
That's right.
Fun.
100%.
Okay. Listen, so I had you surfing, and we had you. Yeah, we got rid of the feedback. So now we're in a flow. We're talking about Thomas Leonard, and the question is really, well, everybody wants to transform. Why aren't we doing it?
Well, and so again, having grown up around, Tony Robbins and Bob Proctor and some amazing mentors that helped me shift a lot of my thinking around life and business. When I met Thomas and I asked him that question, he said to me, and I've remembered this forever, and I've shared this with thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people around the world. Most people are trying to use willpower to change their life. Now, willpower is a mental faculty. It means that I'm going to make a decision and I'm going to force myself to go there.
But I want to put you on pause for a moment. You see what you did. You were animated. It wasn't just the words willpower. There was a punch in it. There was something. There was a grunt. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Now we're going to flatten it out.
That's how humanity's been doing life, is to force our way through reality instead of in flow. And what Thomas helped me realize, he said, instead of using willpower, you need to learn how to delegate your success to the environments. So the environments are stronger than willpower. They're on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're working on our inner game and our outer game. And you're either doing life by design or life by default. So if you craft your environments properly, and there's 9 different environments that every human has working on them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, if you design it properly, then you can make happiness, health, and wealth way more fun, way easier. And instead of fighting against the environments, you start to shift or add or delete environments that do the work with you and for you. And when I realized that, and the easy examples are, who are the people that you surround yourself with? Well, that's one environment, the relationships, right? But your body is an environment. And by the way, here's one of the other principles that I've learned out of this. Everything is an environment. So Barry is an environment of you. I'm an environment of you. The every piece of information, every media, every human, every plant, every animal, all the physical structures around you, they're all environments. And when you recognize, they either add energy or they drain. And sometimes those things added energy and then they didn't. They started draining you. So a friend, a relationship, a loved one, at some point may be adding massive energy and putting you into that vibration of love and happiness and kindness. And there's other times where that frequency is a lower vibrational frequency. If you go through David Hawkins' Power versus Force, right? Sometimes it pushes people down into anger or sadness or, suicidal thoughts. And the reality is we control that frequency. We control that vibration based on how we're thinking and how we're feeling. And of course, we choose our thoughts. But what a lot of people don't realize is the environments are stronger than willpower, and they win over time. So if you craft HHW, or happy, healthy, wealthy environments, it's easy to be happy, healthy, and wealthy. If, however, and I lived in a bomb shelter for a year, I know what it's like to live.
Wait. You can't just throw that in as a bomb, another 4-letter word. What were you doing in a bomb shelter for a year, Bunch?
Well, so this is one of that dark night of the soul. This is that where the universe strips everything away to help you identify your purpose. You talked about this before. And this was, strangely enough, after I had worked with Tony Robbins and Bob Proctor, which again, I took a ton of value from those guys. But what happened is, Barry, is I was doing all these events and seminars at a young age. I was on stages. I was inspiring people. And I thought that was the way to transform people's lives. But what ended up happening is I saw behind the curtain and I thought, wait a second, there are thousands of people coming to this event every weekend. They're doing firewalks or breaking glass or bending arrows on their neck. They're getting pumped up. They're getting jazzed up. And then we go to the next city thinking, all right, we did all these people a great service. The reality is about 4% of those people were having continued success. 96% of the people were going on this incredible high, and then they were actually dropping lower than where they were before they came to the events. The contrast of that put a lot of people into a really tough place where they thought, man, I was pumped up. I said I was going to reach these goals. I want to change my health, my wealth, and they didn't do it. Why not? Because they came into our environment for 2 to 3 to 4 to 10 days, and then they go back to their environments for 350 days. Which is stronger, 2 to 3 days with us, or 350 days of unconsciously designed environments that lowered their frequency? So,
Jim Bunch, I love you.
I love you too, friend. I knew that the moment you left that voicemail message.
Hold on, everybody. Hold on. Wait a minute, keep your seatbelts buckled because there's more Jim Bunch coming. We're going to do a few commercials because people love us and you love the products that we have available. And there's more Bunch on the other side of this brief med. Don't go away. This is so wonderful. Be right back after this brief message. Opportunity. What an opportunity. I'm going to use 2 4-letter words right now. Free gift. Free gift. Yes, you can have a copy of my best-selling book, The Joy of Living, How to Slay Stress and Be Happy, the ebook version for absolutely free. All you have to do is send an email to me, Barry, Barry, at barryshore.com, and in the heading, the subject line, just write free gift. It's as easy as that. This is a life-changing, life-enhancing opportunity. Barry at barryshore.com. You'll be glad you did. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Free gift. Do it now. Take the action. Make it happen right now. Best wishes. Bye. Imagine the kind of place you would want to shop for your favorite fur baby pet. honestpets.co. Well, you found it. honestpets.co. Not .com, .co. This is your go-to spot for the best, the cleanest pet treats that exist anywhere on the planet. All of the brands go through a rigorous review to make sure they meet the high standards of cleanliness, health benefits, and naturalness. This site was started by a husband and wife team, and it's veteran-owned, and that care about pets, especially dogs and cats, and coming soon, bird treats. These are very nice young people who really care about making a difference because a portion of proceeds go to support veteran organizations with a focus on service dogs. This is the place where you want to go. You want to tell your friends this has the finest, yummiest, freshest, all-natural treats and stuff for your fur baby. So go there, honestpets.co. honestpets.co. Do it now. Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Remember, you're good-looking because you're always looking for and finding the good. We found good in abundance. Our cup runneth over with good. It's a two-legged being who's really an animated being. His name is Jim Bunch, and he is just sharing with us pathways to greatness, because that's what this is all about. And he's bringing us to a place where you're not going to crash. You're not going to go lower because we're describing environments that you choose to enhance. So, Jim, you just took us behind the curtains of the most powerful people on the planet doing these amazing situations, getting people rising up and realizing that 4% maybe actually will continue the journey, the trajectory, and 96%, they're not just going to go back where they were. It's actually going to be lower because they saw heaven, but now they feel actually bad that they think they can't do it, and they're hurting from it. And that put you in a difficult space, didn't it?
It did, because I thought my purpose was to do these events, to inspire people to make these changes, to shift their belief and change their life. It wasn't. And so again, I didn't know about the environments yet. And I went through one of the toughest parts of my life because my church, if you will, I no longer believed in. And so I ended up moving from, I was from Florida originally. I spent a year on the road with Tony Robbins. Then I went to Kansas City. We built Life Success Institute. And one day in the middle of the winter, I said, enough is enough. I'm a Florida boy and I've been in the cold for 2 years. I'm moving to California. I didn't know anybody. I just packed up my stuff and I moved to California. So I couch surfed for a couple of weeks. And then the person whose couch I was on said, hey, listen, you got to find something else. And I called a friend and I said, I don't know what to do. I knew he was from San Diego. And he said, well, he goes, I know somebody who's got a tiny little house. There's no place for you upstairs, but they have this bomb shelter that's underneath the house. And it was literally a set of stairs that went down to a concrete room. No light. It was cold. The only air came from a tube from the outside down into this place.
It was a bomb shelter.
It was a bomb shelter. So, we tell the story about going from, the bomb shelter to the beach house. But the part of the night that really woke me up is somehow there was a gal who I was dating, and I don't know what I had to offer then other than just me, but she had not fully broken up with her last relationship. And in the middle of the night, that last relationship came down those stairs into that dark bomb shelter in the middle of the night with a gun and said, if that person is naked underneath here, you're not leaving here. And so he grabbed this person, took her out of the bomb shelter, put her in the car, kidnapped her. We called the police. Long story short, he ended up going to jail. And I had one of the toughest and most important breakthroughs in my life, because that night I couldn't sleep. It was 3:00 in the morning when all this happened. I was up for 24 hours. The next night I just couldn't sleep. And on my shelf, I still have this book, and it's called, I won't even bother again, it's called Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. And I read that book from cover to cover, and it was as if the universe or God or energy or source or whatever you call it was having a direct conversation with me. And in that moment, it hit me that I had been perfectly prepared because of the loss of faith in that system for what I didn't even know was coming next.
You needed to have a shift. In the middle, you were without the F.
Yeah. Yes.
And now you came out up the stairs into the light.
Yeah. And what it was is it was up the stairs in the light inside, because the worst part wasn't being financially broke or the relationships falling apart. The worst part was being spiritually broke, because I didn't know my purpose. I didn't know what I thought what my purpose wasn't all of my purpose. And so this was the perfect redirect for me. And the pathway now looking, like Steve Jobs says, it's easy to connect the dots looking backwards. It's not so easy looking forward. So being 53 now and looking back when I was in my 20s, my mid 20s, I can now see that, the one thing led to the next to the next. The Tony Robbins led to the Bob Proctor. The Bob Proctor led to that bomb shelter moment where I found a coach. And that coach worked with me on the fundamentals of knowing myself, that YOU that led us down this 9 environments conversation. Because the YOU is the part of you that's always been here. It is that source, that energy, that soul. And around that, we connect our memetics, our belief systems. And around that, we connect our body environment, our self environment, our spiritual, nature, physical, financial, network, and relationship. Those are the 9 environments. And when we recognize that every human has attracted those 9 environments, just like we've built this body out of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, guess what? That means that we can shift to those environments. And by shifting those environments, we shift our reality and the direction of our lives forever. Because the environments, when consciously designed, when we're doing life by design instead of life by default, and when the energy of those environments inspires us, brings our spirit forward instead of expires us, now we build game-changing companies. Now we build happy, healthy, wealthy lives. Now we connect with people of a higher frequency. And now we as a species begin to operate at a frequency that allows the planet to start to restore and regenerate. Because guess what? It's all frequency. It's all energy. Right? I know the frequency of what it's like to live in a bomb shelter, to feel pain and suffering and guilt and anger. I also know the frequency of what it's like to feel fully loved and gratitude and joy and enlightenment. It's simply a choice. Now, it may take a minute for us to let go of our old patterns and habits, but that choice is instant.
And let me hear the snap of the finger again. That choice is
instant.
By the way, one of the greatest messages you'll ever hear in your life was just given to you with the snap of the fingers. It's your choice and it's instant. Because when you choose to live in love, which stands for living on vibrating energy, living on the vibrational plane, then your life moves into the realm of what we call life, living inspirationally for eternity. You mentioned a number of times, wonderful Jim, about something, and I know we have much more to talk about, but I want to go back to this, that you use some words that are so strong that most people can't get even close to. You chose to be born into your mother's womb, you chose the environment, that place. You chose to grow the cells, et cetera, et cetera. When you came out, you now chose to grow. In other words, the choices along the way, and they can bring you to on a mountain path and bring you down to the valley. It can bring you to a bomb shelter or to where you are at the moment, which is spreading joy, happiness, peace, and love to the world. But you said you are the one who chooses. Is that correct?
100%. And that choice is constant. That choice is constant. And what I appreciate now that I didn't before is that I chose some of the most difficult challenges to give me contrast, right? So just like God created the light and the dark, right? It's for us to experience all of it. And I used to resist those areas of my life. I used to try to change them as quickly as I could. And now I understand the purpose of justified fear. I understand the purpose of anger and compassion, right? Or courage. I understand the gift in that vibrational energy, right? I also understand the gift in gratitude and joy and enlightenment, all of it, right? And so when you start to, as you have done, I can tell, when you start to wake up consciousness, when you start to fully embrace that knowingness that all of this is by design, life gets easy. You know, as our friend Jack Canfield talks about, you know,
Right.
99% is hard. 100% is easy. When you're 99% committed to happiness, that's hard. When you're 100%, it's easy, right?
Right. It. By the way, I think you might like this one also. People like these acronyms they do. It's called the law, right? THELAW. So when people hear the word law, they tend to think of, the rotating top of the police car. But we know, because when we're talking about what we live, law stands for love and wisdom. Love and wisdom. And the THE stands for transformation happens easily. It's the law, like you just said. If you're sort of in, maybe, yeah, I'm interested, that's tough. When you're committed, it's the law. Transformation happens easily. It's because you're surrounded by love and wisdom. It has to happen. Now, you might really love this one. Wonderful bunch. You ready?
Bring it.
Take the same letters of THELAW and shift them around. Remember, shift, and you get the word wealth. WEALTH. Because it's the law. It has to happen. That's what you've been talking about. I want to, only because I think it's of interest to people in terms of business stuff, about where your journey is right now with this company called Power, POWUR. This is not an infomercial, but I want to use it as a springboard to what you've been doing with your life, because it is all about energy. And this is, see, I love business. People who've been around me know I have, thank God, 2 multi-million-dollar exits to public companies. I have 3 issued patents. I made a lot of money. I lost a lot of money. Thank God. Okay. All good. Business, wonderful. The word business is very interesting. It's spelled BUSINESS, right? Everybody knows that. But notice something amazing, Jim. The U comes before the I. See, when business is built on service, what can we do? What can I do to be of service to you? Because if I'm in service, if I'm doing something of benefit for everybody, then the I gets rewarded. It has to. It's the law. It can't be any other way. But that's business when it's oriented to you. So that's why I love the POWUR. So tell us what Power is about, what you do, and how it's literally helping to transform how people engage with the power that they have and that they need to run their lives.
Yeah, it's, there's many ways to play off of this conversation. Let me give a little bit of the current status of the company, and then we'll back into some of these principles. Because I think, most people want to hear the success stories. I think they really ought to hear the failures as well as the successes, because there's so many lessons, and I don't consider anything a failure, right? But as a matter of fact, I've taught my kid there's no such thing as failure. The only way to lose the game of life is to quit. That's it. Otherwise, if you're fogging a mirror, you're still in the game and you can still win.
Right.
Same is true with business.
You can't win the game unless you're in the game.
100%. So right before we started Power, which was 11 years ago, we had one of the biggest failures, quote unquote, of my business career.
The royal
so Jonathan Budd, who you mentioned here earlier, he and I were introduced by two dear friends of ours. And originally they said, hey, we've got this young buck. This guy is extremely successful at a very young age, in his 20s. He's an online digital marketer, and he wants to get into the personal development world. He wants to start running events. And the kid put 750 people in his first event. Like he had laser light shows going and fog. And like it was called Unstoppable Entrepreneur. It was epic. And I'm sitting in the front row, kind of getting to know him and doing a little mentoring and coaching and that kind of stuff. And long story short, I not long after that, we did some business deals with one of my other companies called The Ultimate Game of Life, which is all about happiness, health, and wealth. And it's in 55 countries. And Jonathan and I did a deal there. But what really was happening is we found out that both of us had been donating to a nonprofit by a dear friend of ours, Lynn Twist, the founder of Pachamama. And shortly after that, Lynn gave me a call and said, hey, I'm doing a private trip down to the Amazon rainforest. And we're going to go down there and work with the Ashwar tribe. They're the first tribe to successfully fight off the oil companies from invading and destroying their lands. These are
their environment,
right? So I just knew I was supposed to be there, and immediately I saw Jonathan's picture in my head, and I called him and I said, "Hey, I'm heading off to the rainforest. I have this strong hit. You're supposed to be there." And he's like, "What are you talking about? When are you going?" I said, we're next Tuesday." He's like, "Sure, I'm just going to pick up and go." Right. So anyways, that's what he did. And he came down there, and we're 200 miles deep in the Amazon. We're flying into the Amazon. There's no roads. There's no hospitals. I mean, you are in nature, right? And we land on this tiny little dirt runway where they cleared some of the trees. And I'm like, we're landing on that. Then we hop in this boat, and they literally tour us down the Amazon for a little while until we get to these huts over the water. That's where we're at. And a couple of days into that is time to go work with the shaman. So in the middle of the night, under the amazing open sky where, there's no light pollution from any humans, you're hundreds of miles in the rainforest, it literally looks like somebody has taken a white paintbrush and just painted the band of the Milky Way. It's gorgeous. It is absolutely, it's just bright with stars, and it looks like somebody painted it. And so we're on these 6-foot banana leaves, working with ayahuasca and shaman in the middle of the rainforest. And at that moment, Jonathan has the vision to come back and to build the world's first clean energy platform to accelerate the adoption of clean energy worldwide. Now, what it's become since is that software platform, which started as solar, and we put solar on thousands of homes every month. According to Inc. magazine, the last 3 years in a row, we've been the fastest growing, not just in our industry, number one in our industry of solar, but out of 32.5 million businesses, we were 938, then 61, and last year, number 43 out of 32.5 million businesses. So
did everybody hear that? Out of 30 million businesses, you're talking to people who are running number 43. Hello.
Yeah, we've been fortunate to grow up from just a couple of us to 300 employees. We went from 0 to 1 million to 2 million to 5 million to 8 million to 100 million to 200 million. This year, we're over 300 million. We've got plenty of capital in the bank. We actually just announced that we're doing a shares buyback for millions of dollars. So the company's doing fantastic. But the reason it's doing so great is that, number one, we're crystal clear on our values, our vision, and our mission. That is the heart of any company. And there's another framework I teach to all the impact CEOs, the men and women that are answering the call to shift the course of business and to align business and nature and humanity again. We are in a time right now, and if you read Paul Hawkins' book called Drawdown, in the first chapter, he explains all this research they did on the financial side benefit and the environmental side if we shift these industries. On page 222, there's a chart, and that chart shows the 80 different verticals that we need to shift because they're producing the most carbon. Now, I sat back and I went, wait a second. If we were to just look at this from the universe's standpoint, we've got 8 billion people on this planet. We've got more money than we've ever had in circulation. We've been printing billions, if not trillions of dollars. There's more of that than ever. If we were to bring the world's best impact CEOs, the best impacted investors, and the best impact advisors, we could shift those 80 verticals in the matter of the next 7 years. And I believe that we can set humanity and business on a new course. So I formed this thing called Impact CEOs. Empower is one of those companies where we've built world-class businesses that are actually making an impact in multiple ways, not just with carbon and solar, but the people in our company. We now have grown from a couple of us to 300 employees, 7,000 salespeople, hundreds of installation partners. We do solar, we do roofing, we do electric vehicles. Next is going to be HVACs, then electric, we're going to have everything on this platform to accelerate the adoption of clean energy. And I share all this not as a promotional piece, but it started with a vision. It started with us, Jonathan and I, being aligned on what we value most. We value our lives. We value the future. We value humanity. We value sustainability, all of these things. And when you look at any business, and I just had a CEO here to the house 2 days ago, who I invested in, an impact CEO. And unfortunately, that CEO got to a place in their life where their personal life distracted their business vision, right? Business vision went through really tough times. So our CEOs need support. They need help. If you're an entrepreneur, you know what it's like, right? It's not easy all the time. But if you have the right environments around you, if you have the right energy around you, you can look at all these challenges as not obstacles, but as hurdles, things that we get better and better at jumping over. And if we recognize that life is a team sport and the things you aren't sure how to figure out, somebody has already mastered, you can bring in those talents. You can bring those souls forward. You can attract all the resources you need, whether it's capital or humans or whatever it is, and we can shift humanity's consciousness now.
Okay. Now is one of the greatest words in the world. I'll give you some acronyms, but I want you said something also. First of all, a huge thank you. You hear me? Thank you. Life is a team sport. It is so vital to understand what Jim just said. It was called YAW, Y-A-W, Y-A-W. You are who you associate with. Get your yah-yah working. So when you say life is a team sport, you ready for this one, Jim? You're going to love it. Team stands for, not the one you're thinking of, stands for together, everyone achieves miracles, not more. We just broke through your glass ceiling, kid. Together, everyone achieves miracles, because that's what we're talking about. Remember, it started with smile, seeing miracles in life every day. That's what this is about. And you've given us so much. Again, everybody go to the website, www.whatawonderfulworld.barryshore.com, and you're going to see the 9 environments. You're going to see a lot of stuff about Jim. I mean, this is bunches and bunches of wisdom. By the way, that's what WOW stands for. Whenever you hear something that you can't really get with right away, you say, wow. What does WOW stand for? Words of wisdom, words of wonder. Isn't that wonderful? Words of wisdom. Wow. So it's hard for me to say these words, but we're coming close to our hour. So we're gonna close out by asking you 3 questions. Are you ready?
I am.
Number 1, will you come back again?
100%.
Woo! See, it's easy. Not 99%, that'd be hard, but 100% is easy. Okay, number 2, there's a little more difficult. You have 80 seconds to answer this. Jim Bunch, what is your most fervent desire?
My most fervent desire right now, what I would also call my only goal, is a fully awakened consciousness for me and for humanity. For us to truly align our soul, our intellect, our emotions, and our body. And I feel that when we do that, when we fully embrace the gift of where we are and who we are and what we're here for, that we took form, this whole game is going to change. The game of life is going to shift. And I'm excited that that's what we're going through right now.
You are helping create the shift. And be careful, because I've worked with tens of thousands of people. I can tell you 96.8% of them drop the F and the other stuff happens. You got to be effing careful with your Fs, and then shift can happen. Okay, number 3. May I give you a hug in front of 368,222 people around the world? Let me tell you what hug stands for.
Yes.
Heartfelt, unlimited giving. Ready? 1, 2, 3. You're listening to The Joy of Living with your host, Barry Shore, and our amazing guest, Jim Bonge. Remember, in this program, we talk about the 3 fundamentals of life. Number 1, life. Your life has purpose. And when you lead a purpose-driven life, number 2 happens. You go mad. MAD is a great acronym, stands for make a difference. And number 3 is to unlock the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms like we've been talking about. And the result will be you'll be happier, healthier, and wealthier. I guarantee it, or your money back. Double your money back. Remember those words? WWW. What a wonderful world. Smile. Seeing miracles in life every day. As my 8-year-old niece says, seeing miracles in everyday life. Then you can create the kind of world that we want to live in, causing rethinking, enabling all to excel, and use 4-letter words. Love, life, hope, free, gift, swim, pray, play, mind, and tell everybody to F you. Capital N, capital N. People say, what are you talking about? I say, well, I listen to Barry Shore. He wants to teach the world to F you. Capital N, capital N. They have the opportunity to speak to people about what Jim was sharing with us today. Transformation is yours. It's available to you. And use the 2 most powerful words in the English language 3 times a day, every single day from now and the rest of your life, because you'll be happier, healthier, and wealthier. You help yourself, you help your family, help your friends, and all living beings. These 2 words are thank you, thank you, thank you. To harmonize and network kindness. You've just been involved with one of the kindest people on the planet. And his whole world is to be a channel of goodness, a child of God. So from Jim and Barry, we give you this blessing, which is go forth, live exuberantly, spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad. Go make a difference. Jim, don't go away. Be right with you, okay?
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Joy of Living podcast. Now that's another step towards your healthier, happier, and wealthier life. Never hesitate to do good in the world, no matter what the situation. Join us for another upbeat discussion next time at barryshore.com. And be sure to leave a rating and subscribe to the show to get more conversations like this. And remember to share it with your family and friends too. See you on the next episode.